Today's video is going to be sharing some techniques that a very good friend of mine used to help her open up to be able to hear more clearly signs from the other side. Are you ready? I'm here today with my really good friend, Kristen Hustead, who by profession is a myofascial release therapist, a Reiki practitioner, and a somatic experience practitioner. And today she is going to share her amazing journey in how to better connect with signs and experiences from the other side. And she's going to share her journey. And my audience, Kristen, loves to hear about this. So why don't you begin by telling us about your most significant sign that was given to you?
So as Lori said, I have a practice that I deal with helping people heal from emotional, physical, and spiritual wounds. And so during my time of being this type of therapist, I have developed my intuition off the charts. It has been given a gift to me, I guess I would say. So I'm honoring the gift that I've been given. And hopefully by telling this story, it will open your eyes to the wonder and mystery of life. But so one of my most significant times was when I actually had gone to a medium. Her name was Melinda Vale, and she was having a spring fling here in Phoenix. And I'm like, I don't even know what a spring fling is, but a client of mine invited me. So I went and I heard her for 2 hours read people in the audience of deceased loved ones that were coming through in order to give messages. And I was like, thinking to myself, I'm like, this is what I do all the time in my practice, but I've never really practiced it that much. But people come through all the time to deliver messages. So I remember after this spring fling, the next morning I was walking at the park, and I remember thinking, well, I'm going to practice my intuition. So I said in my head, I said, okay, if there are any spirits out there that of my clients or my friends that want to come and practice so I can practice my intuition, I welcome you. And right away, a spirit of a young man who was dear to my heart and a family friend, like a son to mine, came through. And I remember saying to him, like in my heart, I said, oh, honey, I know too much about you to practice my intuition. So his spirit left. And so then 2 more spirits came, and it was actually a husband and wife of one of my clients. And I was thinking, I've never met them and how I know that it was them, but they came and they presented their name. And I said, well, hello, Mr. and Mrs. And I said that in my head. And I said, okay, so I'm practicing my intuition and I would love to practice on you guys. And the husband spirit went away, like right away. And I thought, okay, well, maybe he's shy. I mean, I have no idea how this works. And so I started practicing with the mom spirit. And I said, well, first I'm going to start with what is your name? And she told me her name was Jane. And I was like, all right, Jane. And I thought to myself, like, really, is it Jane? And right when I said, is that really your name? There's a beautiful hummingbird came right up by me and was like, swimming or flying right by me. And I got the confirmation that was her name. So I said, okay, I'm trusting this is your name. So I went on with my little conversation in my head with her. And I said, so do you have a message for my client that I could relay to him in order to practice my intuition? And also you can give him a message. And she said, I love you so much. I'm so sorry for all your pain that you've been through. Your son who has passed away is with me, which was her grandson. We are happy. He is happy. We are with you all the times. It was this beautiful message. And I remember getting this download of the message. And I thought to myself, that was so beautiful, but it would be something I could make up, right? I could just say, hey, to my client, your mom came through and this is what happened. And so I said, I will definitely deliver that message if it's appropriate to her, to the spirit. But I said, now can you give me some specifics? And right away, I get this download of information. And I thought either A, I'm making it up and I'm crazy, but I'll find out when I test it with the client, or B, this is true. I'm really hearing from the other side. So I get right away. We lived in a white house when he was little on the top of a hill with a 5-car garage. And he had a favorite toy or truck when he was little that was red. He had a favorite chair that he would go to when he was sad, and a little blanket he would curl up when he was sad. I love his waffles. And when I heard that, I was like, like, really love the waffles? But I kept writing it down. I loved his waffles. Sorry for Joe or John. I couldn't hear what that was about. I had a red car. No, I had a burgundy car. Sorry, I had a silver car with a burgundy interior. That was my favorite. And your father had a black car with a black interior. That was his favorite. Sorry for your bankruptcy. You went bankrupt once, and it went on. It went on. So I remember writing it all down, going, well, either this client's going to think I have lost my marbles, or I'm going to be like dead on because I heard correctly. So I said to her afterwards, I had to write it all down. I said, thank you so much for the information. If I feel it's appropriate, because it still was a little bit, all this is a little new to me, just feeling confident enough to express to others what I'm hearing. So I said, if this feels right, I will present this, your message and all of the particulars from from his childhood, if I feel it's right. Well, the time came, I was with the client, and I felt it was right. And I said, well, hey, I'm practicing my intuition, and your mom came through. Is her name Jane? And he almost fell off the chair. He's like, how did you know? I'm like, well, she told me. And he's like, and I go, okay, well, get ready. I like told him to buckle up the seatbelt. I said, this is what she said. You lived in a white house, a big house on the top of the hill with a 5-car garage. You had a chair, the waffles, Joe or John, and everything, the bankruptcy. And he was like, yes, he's like shaking. And I said, well, I'm practicing my intuition, and she wants me to tell you that she loves you, and she's so sorry for all your pain, and she's with you always. And so is your son is with her as well, and they are happy. And he still was just shaking, like, can you believe that? I mean, he couldn't believe it. So after our session, our conversation, I get pictures on my phone of the White House on the top of the hill, wow, the little chair that he used to sit in that his sisters gave back to him just recently when his son died. She showed me the chair, and that was a very healing place when he was little, and it is still a healing place for him now. The waffles his mom used to love. He used to own a restaurant. His mom would come into the restaurant and want him to fix waffles, but she loved it with vanilla in it, and that's not what he had in his recipe. So he would always mix it for her vanilla, and that was the one I was telling him, like, I thought I was losing it. But the waffles and the bankruptcy and the Joe or John was definitely family members that they had some issues with, and it went on. And so I was like, whoa. So I was kind of on a roll. So my next client came in, and should I tell them about that?
Yeah, I want to hear about that, but I actually have a question first.
Mm-hmm.
So when you said that little hummingbird came up right here, what did you interpret that to mean?
When I was asking the spirit, is your name really Jane? I remember questioning that, because I thought, it's really interesting to hear messages in your head, because you can kind of think that you're actually talking to yourself, and that way it's hard. So I bet you a lot of people get messages, but they can't decipher that. So for me, I wanted to test that was her name. And when the hummingbird came, I got the message again that this was her name. And it was just the hummingbird was a sign that her spirit used to deliver a message.
So you didn't think necessarily that the hummingbird was her?
No.
Okay.
No. It was a message. It's like the spirit is using
like almost a confirmation.
A confirmation, exactly. And that's how I get my signs too, through just when I see things, knowing that that is a messenger. It's not her. It's not his mom was the hummingbird, but right. Yeah.
To him, what was the most evidential of all the information you presented?
It was all of it. I mean, it was like, how would I know? He's like, did you know my mom was Jane? I said, no, I can go look even on the internet. And he's like, yeah. And I had a restaurant, like no one would know that. And nobody would know about the chair that my sisters gave me after my son died, that I used to use when I was little. Like no one would know about the chair. And he said, and no one would know about, there was another one that was just the red truck. He sent me a picture of himself as a little boy, 3 or 4, like I got the download, with this little red truck that he said he carried with him everywhere. It was like a little wagon or something. And I was like, oh, and then the other thing that I forgot to mention was when I was finished with that message with her, I started coughing. I started coughing really bad. And I thought, why is she making me cough? So I even relayed that message to him. I said, and then I started coughing. I couldn't catch my breath. And he goes, she died of emphysema. And he said
Wow.
that he was floored, of course.
And how did you feel?
I just felt, I always, to honest to God, feel privileged to be awake enough and aware enough to hear and not be scared of it and not be frightened by what does that look like? Ooh, you're hearing from the other side. I stepped away from that a long time ago, and I find it a privilege to deliver messages of healing to people. And I
That's
feel like it's a
amazing.
gift from God.
It is a gift. Okay, you want to share another really profound one?
Yeah. So then after he left, I was like kind of on a roll. So I was excited for my next client. So I said, okay, she had lost a daughter as you know, as well. I had lost a child, and I've been working with her for a while, and just severe depression and things like that. And I thought maybe she would like to hear from her son. And so I said, you know, I am practicing my intuition. Would you like to hear from your son if he comes through? And I always tell people, I'm never going to write a story. If the spirit doesn't want to come through, or if it's not appropriate, I don't want anything to do with it. She said, yes. So we were quiet. I was doing Reiki on her, and her son came through and said, of course, the beautiful message, just like my other client. I love you, Mom. It wasn't your fault that I died. I was just in a confused place in my life. And it was, I love you so much. And I want the best for you, and all this stuff. And I told her, this is what he's saying. And again, that's super, super typical, right? You would think, yes, a loved one would say that. So I asked him, give me more. And then I heard, I miss the white, my favorite house was the white house with the little house with a white picket fence out front where we kept all of our toys. I was around 3 or 4. We lived close to an ocean, and that's where we would play outside. And so I asked her, did you have the white house with the toys out front where the kids around 3 and 4? And did you live close to the ocean? She said, yes, we lived in California. We had a little bungalow, and we had the toys out front. And the boys would always play out front. I said, well, then that's a message for you. And then he gave me more. He said, and I loved my dad's big truck. It was red, something like that. And she said, yes, my husband had a truck, and the boys used to love to go in the truck. And I said, okay, this is a message for you. And then he gave me another one. He said, this was my favorite time of life. It was before my mom and dad got divorced. And this was my favorite memory. And I said, this is what he's saying now. Was this right before you got divorced? And she said, yes. And I said, I want you to know, I was telling my client, you have been given a divine gift today, that your son is giving you this message. I would never know all this about you. And he is telling you that he's okay. And he's also telling you he loves you, and he is so happy. And all those little confirmations confirm that. So that was another profound one. I do have more, but not sure how many you want to hear.
That's a really good one. Well, I could talk to you all day about this.
Yeah.
This is just like, we're in my wheelhouse.
Yes.
With signs of synchronicity. So you mentioned that you feel privileged that you've been able to get to the point where you're open enough to be able to hear. Will you elaborate on that a little bit so that people can understand what you mean, so that this is something they could maybe put into practice to be able to hear their own signs?
Sure. So I've always been highly intuitive, and I do believe we all are intuitive. We get so clogged, or we don't trust what we hear. We get clogged by all our thoughts and our busyness in life. And actually it goes against us on that frantic pace. So for me, it was really about quieting my mind, because my mind would be, I would call it a monkey mind. It would always be going, going, going. And I was very active, and I was always busy, busy, busy. And I never allowed myself the stillness to really hear. So when I started to get into meditation and really quiet my mind, and my practice, of course, I'm quietly working on someone, and I'm doing Reiki, or I'm stretching someone to release their fascial tissue. It's quiet. I started to hear all these things, and I'm like, I would start testing with my client, like, did your father, was he a farmer, and did he yell at you, and it was really traumatic when you were about 3 or 4 at the dinner table? And I would start to nail in people's lives, like, you were in a car accident, or you were pregnant when you were 15, or whatever it is I'm hearing, I would start to test it. And it started to be every single time, boom, boom, boom. And so now people come to me, and not only can I listen and hear and read the tissue from my intuition and from what God's telling me, it helps them heal. So it's kind of how I went.
I love that.
But yeah.
That's amazing. I think one of the favorite stories that you've shared with me is about your son's friend.
Yes.
You want to tell that story of how that happened? Because I think that that's incredible for everybody out there who has lost someone. I think it's really neat to know that when our loved ones need to get a message to us, they will find a way.
Yes. I want to tell about that. And I want to tell about the man who lost 2 sons. So yes, I would like to tell both of those because they were profound.
Yes. Okay. Go ahead.
So when my son's best friend passed away not too long ago, and it was traumatic for all of us. He was like a son to me. And we had this special relationship for many years, and it was more a spiritual connection because anytime I would feel God would nudge me to reach out to him, I would do it. And it would be profoundly when he needed it. And he had some traumatic things that happened in his life, and it would be profoundly. So when he passed away, the day he passed away, I actually was hiking up in Carefree, and I remember getting a message that something sad was going to happen today. And I thought, oh, I hope, I said a prayer. I hope everyone's okay. And I was hiking, and I got a call from my son, and I didn't answer it because I was hiking. And then I caught a call from my husband and found out that this friend of ours had passed. So it was so traumatic, and he was so special to us that in my heart, I had told him, because when he was alive, I always told him, you are going to be a healer. You are going to help heal many people. Bring to me whoever you need healing now that you have passed away, is what I was telling him, because I will continue the legacy that you've had on earth. I want to continue it when you're on the other side using
Beautiful.
me. So I opened myself up to that, and I told him, you bring anyone. Well, out of the blue, after the funeral and everyone's so sad, his grandpa calls me. I've never had his grandpa call me for a treatment at all, nor did he really knew what I did, which was really the interesting part. And he's crying, and he says, Kristen, I need your help. And I said, well, sure. Do you need my physical help? He goes, I've been crying so much, my ribs broke. My ribs have broke, or I sprained them. And I said, okay, so you need physical healing. I said, I do emotional healing as well. He says, I want them both. I said, okay. So actually I went to his house for this because I know he was in grief, deep grief. And I get to his house, and I said, how are you doing? And he goes, Kristen, I just want to know that he is okay. I just want to know that he is okay. I am so sad. I said, okay. So I started working on him to release his fascial tissue, which holds a lot of emotion. And as I'm working on him, I'm telling him how you hear from the other side. I said, sometimes you get feathers and they remind us of our past loved ones, or you see a penny, and if that message is that past loved one, then trust that. You see rainbows. And as I'm thinking of all the typical things that come to with past loved ones coming through, I get this download in my head, and it says, tell Papa I miss watching the Cardinals games with him. And I was like, and I'm stretching it, and I was like, and I said, well, and I said to the spirit, I said, no, I am not going there. He is too fragile. I don't know if I'm hearing it right. I don't want to be wrong. And I hear this, tell Papa I miss watching the Cardinals games. I'm like, and it kept saying it over and over in my head. Finally I said to the grandpa, I said, I have an unusual gift. And he goes, what? I go, I'm just a little different. He goes, I accept you exactly how you are. He was like saying that. He goes, I love you no matter what. I said, okay, well, here it goes. And I am so sorry if I'm wrong. I feel like I'm getting a message from your grandson, and it's saying, tell Papa I miss watching the Cardinals games with him. And he goes, I go, does that resonate with you? And he goes, yes, we watched it every Sunday. Oh my gosh, the Cardinals games. I go, did he call you Papa? And he goes, yes, he called me Papa. And I'm like, oh, phew. I kind of did that, and I was working on him more. And then I hear another download. Tell Papa, thank you for loving me and always believing me when I felt like no one else did. And I said, does that resonate with you? And he said, yes. He told me that every time he got off the phone, because he felt like I was the only one standing by his side through all his trials and tribulations. And I said, whew, that was another one. And then another one came through that was, oh gosh, there's so many. Oh, this was a specific. Tell Papa sorry for wrecking your white Escalade. And I was like, for God's sakes, like if I'm wrong on this one, everything I've said is going to be like shoved to the side. So I said, did you have a white Escalade, and did he wreck it? And he goes, yes, he wrecked the white Escalade. He tore off the side mirror, and when he was just a terrible driver. And I said, oh my gosh, like how would I know you had a white Escalade? And it was a while back. And he goes, oh, this is amazing. So he was so thrilled. He was talking to his grandson. And then I hear, then it was silent. And I thought, oh, God, it's silent. He's done. Then all of a sudden I hear this, tell Papa I'm a man of few words and I don't know what to say. And it was comical. And so I go, oh, okay, now he's being funny. I said, I thought he was done, but he's saying now, telling the man a few words, and he doesn't know what to say. And he goes, he told me that all the time because he just never knew what to say. And I said, this is amazing. And so we were laughing and he was joyful. Another one came through about tell Nana. I didn't know he called his grandma Nana. Tell Nana I missed her chocolate chip cookies. And he goes, yes, we used to argue over the cookies. And the final one was a message for me, actually. So I hear another one. Thank you for taking care of my knee. And I remember going, now he's saying, thank you for taking care of his knee. And his grandfather said, that does not resonate with me. And then I hear, no, Mrs. Hustead, I heard this, that's for you. And I go, oh, he said, he's telling that for me because we had taken him when he was little to California and he had like 15 or 20 stitches in his knee. And I remember telling his mom before we left to California, I'm like, what's going to happen? Like, he's got 15 or 20 stitches and he loves to surf. He is a water baby or a water child or water man. And so I thought, what am I going to do? So I remember before we left, I grabbed some super glue because I had read that you could super glue a cut. So every day he would go in the water for 5 or 6 hours. He'd come back and that cut would be wide open and I'd clean it off and glue it back and super glue it 7 days in a row. And so that message for me saying, thank you for taking care of his knee. And so that was that one. And if it's not too long, I would love to tell another one that was profound. It had me shaking for days as well.
Well, before you tell that one, so who did you tell your son? Because this was your son's best friend about this healing message.
Yes. And see, my son, he is highly intuitive too. And he gets messages and actually.
Can you tell the story about him with the radio?
Yes. Okay. So my son, right after the passing of his best friend, his radio has never worked in his car ever. I mean, he has like a little extra radio, like a boombox, that he listens.
You just dated yourself.
I know. I
think you mean like one of those speakers that connects to Bluetooth.
Okay, so he has a Bluetooth speaker in his car because his radio just doesn't work, and my husband's worked on it 1,000 times. So he was leaving after we found out he had passed. He was going back to California, and he gets in his car and he's driving, and on the radio that has never worked in the last 2 years that he's had this car, the song that him and his friend used to listen to all the time when they were little comes on the broken radio. And he was like, ah! And as soon as the song was done, the radio stopped working. And so my son called me. He's like, Mom, the song we listened to all the time when we were little just played on the radio. And he was shaking. I said, you have been given a gift. And another time in California, he was back in California with his friends in the car. The song came on again on the broken radio and all his friends heard it too. And so we all just were like, there were other signs that my son got from him as well that were just profound. And so we just know that he's around and he's loving on us.
Amazing. Okay. And you have one more you want to share?
Okay. One more that I'll share. So I absolutely was dumbfounded by this one, like dumbfounded at the amazement of our God. So I've been working with a client and she had just some physical issues that I could not release from her. And it kept coming back. So I knew there was an emotional component to her issue. Found out that it's very difficult for her to live with her husband who has lost 2 children from a previous marriage. So his 2 biological children are deceased and he is in severe depression. And she's having a hard time with his sadness because it affects her because she's sad for him. So she was saying, he won't go to counseling or anything, or he won't do anything. I'm so frustrated, but I want him to heal. I want him to feel better and all this stuff. And I get this feeling like, see if he'll see me. And she's like, oh, I don't think he will. I said, ask him. So she asked him. And the next time I came to their house, she said, he wants to see you. I said, great. So the first time I saw him, all I did was a release of the emotions from his body through the fascial release. He had heard that I do Reiki and that I do healing, prayer and touch. And I didn't do it on the first time because I just didn't feel led. Next time I come to work with him, I come in the room and he's like, can we do some of that Reiki stuff that you do too? And I said, sure. So I stretched him for a while and I left 15 minutes at the end for Reiki. And when I do Reiki on new clients, I lead them in a guided meditation that kind of takes them up into the gamma state where they're relaxed and they're receiving. And I really do believe, and I know for a fact, we transcend dimensions and we come up to a place of healing. And I always take people up to the light, to God for healing. But this particular time, we only had 15 minutes. So I took him up to the pretty place that I usually lead people up to, the grassy meadow and all that. So I lead him up there and I leave him there for healing. And I'm just quiet. He's just laying there and I'm guiding him. And I leave him here. And I am so intuitive that I usually see what's going on. I knew he was getting a message of some sort, but I intuitively knew possibly his sons were visiting him, but I didn't see it. And normally I'll see it. So after the 15 minutes, I let him, guided him back down, and he opened his eyes and he goes, Kristen. I go, what? He goes, my sons. He was like shaking. He goes, my sons were in the pretty place. They were laying next to the grass with me. And he was turning his head like this. He goes, I saw their faces. They are so happy. And I said, I knew you were getting an amazing message. I just couldn't see it. He goes, they are happy. I've worried about them my whole life. They are so happy. And we cried and we just were in amazement. And he was smiling ear to ear. Usually he's a very somber man. So as I was leaving, I said, you have a light about you, to him. I got in my car and I was like, whoa, like what just happened? Next week I come back. And the first thing when I walked in the room, he said, Kristen, can we go see God again? And actually, before I had seen him, I met his wife as I'm getting out of the car and I'm walking in and she goes, he thinks he saw God last week. And I said, he did. She goes, he couldn't stop crying all night long and saying over and over again, I saw God, I saw God, I saw God. And I saw my boys and they're happy. And she was telling me this. And I said to her, he did, I did, we did. I don't ask me how, but he did. She goes, oh. So then I go and I walk into the room and I set up my table and he comes in and says, Kristen, can we go see God again? So I said, absolutely. So we go and I give him a little stretch just to relax his body. And we go into the full meditation where I actually take him up and past the pretty meadow place where I left him last time. I usually have them dive into water because mostly we're water. Our beings are mostly water, right? And I say, you're shedding all your earthly concerns and you come up onto the shore where your past loved ones, your angels and your guides are here for your highest good and the highest good of those around you. And as soon as I'm telling him to come up onto the other side, it was like his boys were there. I saw it this time, his boys and his mom and his dad and all these past loved ones. He was having a family reunion. I could not get him to move on into the light, nor did I want to at that time. So I quietly left him there and I said, take in all the love. And I left him there for a while. But I knew we needed to get him up to healing to the light. So I said, bring your boys with you. And now we're going to go up to the light. So I lead him up to a guided meditation where he sits in the light. And then there I say, you are getting healing. And then I'm quiet. And so while I'm quiet, I'm seeing him with his boys and I'm seeing this. They're walking and they're talking and they're hugging and they're laughing. And I think I even saw them like sitting on a bench and just loving and catching up and just ridiculously beautiful. When it was time to come down, I led him down. I said, everybody here is coming with you. You have a support staff of angels and guides and God and your boys. Everyone's coming with you. They're never far from you. But dive into the water, go to the pretty place, come down, and I lead him back into his body. This time he wakes up and he goes, with tears in his eyes, he goes, Kristen, my boys are so happy. My boys are so peaceful. They are in a place of peace. I said, yes, they are. He said, and I never realized how much God loves me. And he kept saying that over and over again. He goes, I never realized how much God loves me. He loves me so much. And I said, yes, he does. He said, I grew up Catholic and in my head, I always knew God loved me. But today he was doing this. But today I know God loves me and I am not alone. I have a team, a support team that everybody is with me. I am not alone. He goes, and I am okay. And he said, it was so sweet. He goes, I am okay if I close my eyes and never come back because I know I'll be happy. He goes, and I'm okay if I open my eyes and I'm here because
so he's okay being here now. And this is a man who was barely living.
Yes. Wow. And so, and that one I bawled and we still weren't done. So the next time I just was like, what just happened? And he was crying and I was crying. I come back the next week and this was actually the last time I worked with him and he wanted full on Reiki. And this time we just went right in and I took him up to the light and it was quiet and beautiful. And I saw intuitively that he didn't want to come back I saw intuitively that he'd rather be on the other side. And, but I just was quiet, and I let him back down afterwards, and he opened his eyes up. And this was so beautiful because, Kristen, this time I saw two gods, but they were one. I saw the God of the brokenhearted and the broken spirited. That's me. I'm brokenhearted, I'm broken spirited. And the God of the universe, but they are one. And they both love me so much. And I said to him, I know, I saw that too. And I said, I know you're ready to go to the other side. And he said, how did you know? I said, I just know. He goes, well, I'm just okay with whatever now. And I again was crying, and he was crying. I said, this is why our paths crossed. This was why. Your boys are happy. They're with you all the time. God loves you more than you ever could realize. And this is the greatest gift you could possibly ever get.
So you started that story by telling about his wife and how the wife was unable to heal a trauma, and it kept on coming back. The injury kept coming back and coming back. So after all this happened, were you able to, was it connected to that?
Yes, her trauma is connected to actually many things, that many losses that she had at a certain time of her life. When she, it was a simple thing she did that kind of pulled her groin muscle, but I knew it wasn't that. I knew it was all this emotional tightness that's keeping her stuck. So it was two deaths. It was a death and a possible death of something else. And then what her husband's going through. So that's her journey. I haven't actually worked with her since, because they went on to their summer home after that. And so I am learning to let go of people's journeys, because I don't write the story for them. And I don't know if they both are going to hold on to that, or if they're going to let it go because it's their journey. All I know is they both were given a gift. And I was a privilege to be a part of it, but that's their journey of how they take that gift and how they move forward and heal.
One of the things I think that is so fascinating and so amazing about your story and how you connect is that not only do you have this physical modality that you use to heal people with the myofascial healing, but then you take the Reiki and you combine it so that you are working on both the physical and the emotional. And can you talk
the
spiritual? Can you tell us a little bit about how these physical injuries, sometimes that don't resolve, are connected emotionally?
Sure. So the fascial tissue is nerve connective tissue. It goes throughout your whole body. It's like an internet highway. It's wrapped around every ligament, tendon, organ, nerve. It is everywhere. So it is really what holds our bodies. It gives us substance. It's everywhere. It looks like spider webbing. And so it's highly emotional. It's very connected to our thoughts. So anything that we think, any kind of stressors we're going to, whether it's a physical issue, ow, that hurts, or it's an emotional issue, ow, that hurts. When the body contracts, the fascial tissue contracts. It's like a human Band-Aid, and it'll contract, it'll lock up around an issue. And until the fascial is released and feels safe, will it let go in order to the body to come back to wholeness. So when it's all tight, then when we have Molecules of Emotion, which is Dr. Candace Pert's book, Molecules of Emotion, they get trapped in the fascial tissue because it's so tight. And so that's why a lot of times people have back pain, hip pain, knee pain, neck pain, and things like that. And it'll get tight. Now, once we release the fascia, then those emotions can come out, and people will have shaking sometimes, feel like they're going to cry. They'll have major memories, or they will have an emotional, physical release. So that is the actual physical part of my job. And then the Reiki Rei means God's knowledge, and Ki means life energy. So we're asking the universe, the very essence of God, to come in and do the healing. And it's me just being an empty vessel and the healing to come through. And so even in those type of healings, people are getting profound effects on healing of their livers if they have a toxic liver, or healing of emotional wounds, or healing of physical scarring in their body, or any kind of inflammation. And a lot of deep trauma can come out that way as well. And it's, I could go on and on. The things that God does is off the charts. The universe is
amazing.
Healing. Yeah.
Amazing. So, if my audience has questions for you, are you opening to connecting to answer questions?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
So, I will put a link in the description of how you can contact Kristen directly. So if you have some questions for her, certainly down in the comments, you're welcome to leave your comments, because we love to answer the comments. And remember, when you share your comments and you ask your questions, not only are you helping yourself, but you're also helping other people to learn as well. So I will encourage you to do that. Leave your comments below. And Kristen, what kind of healing do you have that people can reach out to you if they're looking for the healing, like what we've been talking about today, or the connection maybe to spirit and to their passed away loved ones?
So what kind of healing can I offer?
Yeah.
So what people come to me for, and it's through a gamut of reasons why people come to me. Sometimes it's just like my back hurts. And for the last 12 years, my back is hurt. And I tell them, okay, this is all I do. And then I said, but I'm also intuitive and I do Reiki. And a lot of times people go, give me it all. I said, great. Okay. We will find out. And this has happened more often than not, that back issue was a trauma that this person had actually forgotten about when they were little. And once it was released from the tissue and given to us from the divine, they could cry about it. They remembered it. Finally, they had trauma, makes us forget things, and their back pain leaves. And so that happens quite often. A lot of times people will come to me for a physical issue and they end up having a deep spiritual, emotional healing.
Yeah.
Then I'm starting to really get a lot of people with actual trauma. So people are calling me with PTSD and or childhood trauma, or just they want spiritual growth and they want the old baggage to leave them behind in order for them to grow forward, in order for them to leave the old habits, the old thought forms,
Yeah.
to step into who they are designed to be. So really, I try not to say, I only take physical injuries, I only take up spiritual, emotional injuries, or this or that. Reiki people, I really want people to have a full package of healing, because we are body, mind, and spirit.
Mm-hmm.
And my business is well balanced. And on the bottom of that, the tagline is body, mind, and spirit, because we are, and you just can't separate it all.
Yeah.
So really, the healing is always profound, and it is always up to the person how much healing they want and where they're going to take this in their life. Just if you were to go to a counselor, a lot of people use me as a counselor because I'm also a somatic experience practitioner, which is bringing them back into their body, because in trauma, we leave our body, mind, and spirit in 3 different ways. And so really it's about coming back into wholeness.
That's amazing. So I know that a lot of times you do this, for the most part, you really do this in person, but is this something that you're also able to do remotely?
Yes, I can do it remotely. I have a lot of clients remotely that I've worked with. And one of them was where I caught that she had a mass on her breast. And she said, no, no. I said, it's yes, yes. And so it's so divine how this works, how the energy works, how God can go through thousands of miles and deliver these messages of healing. And other clients that I have worked with remotely to help them through a sticky situation where their energy felt stuck. Maybe they're feeling stuck, not being able to move forward. Or I've worked with grieving parents remotely to help them calm their body, to help them heal. And then they progress forward in a more calm way. So just because I'm not physically in the room with someone, does not mean the healing can't happen, because then we're limiting, right? The universe, right. And we're limiting God, and there are no limits to him. So yes, I do remote readings. I do remote healings. And again, I've had a client where I got the message that his colon, there was a black mass in his colon, and then found out later that colon area burst and he almost died. And then when he was in the near-death experience, not only did his spirit come to me during one of my meditations, did I even know that this person was suffering from something, because they were far away, was I able to go into deep prayer and actually go, this sounds really weird, but spirit brought me into the intestine area, and I sat there and prayed for about 45 minutes over the intestine area, went from red to white. And then I got the message, it is done, it is finished. And I knew intuitively that person wasn't going to die. Who am I to say or do any of this? But I had emptied myself and asked for the universe, for God, to come through to do the healing. So when I feel like when I'm getting the message that it is done and this person is healed, I'm standing in that truth now, because it's something I can't understand and it doesn't make logical sense, but that's where I'm learning to stand in my truth, which is really hard as a human being. You feel like a Pharisee, or you feel like who are you? But I do believe we all have been given gifts, and when we walk into the wonder and mystery of life, we will peel back our limiting beliefs and walk into, we're really asking the God of the universe to come through. What limits does that God have? Nothing. So that's where I've taken my practice, and I have a very big passion for healing emotional, physical, and past wounds and grieving parents and PTSD and all that.
Wow. So would you say that you affiliate with a religion then?
I don't because I know our God is so big, and I know that his love, this universal love, is for everyone. And I used to be very much in a box about that. And boy, was that box blown apart, because I know without a shadow of a doubt that love is available for everyone, and no one has to do anything to earn it. It is there. It is who we are. It is our birthright. It is that spirit is inside us. That light is inside us. I mean, in yoga, I teach yoga too. Namaste means the light in me sees the light in you. So I just feel like we all are, God is in all of us, and we all are spirit led. It's just how much we want to allow that. So yeah, I just love, I think love is the answer. Not that I'm perfect at it.
I believe that love is the language of the universe.
It absolutely is.
Yeah. Okay. Do you have any final words that you would like to share with my audience?
Don't stay stuck in your misery and your pain. There is hope and healing for everyone. You do not have to walk around as a half of a person or a shell of a person because you've been through trauma, or because you were raised a certain way, or because you had childhood issues, or even money issues now, or whatever it is. Nobody needs to walk around less than or broken. We all can step into this beautiful gift we've been given of life and accepting what is, and the neutrality of accepting what is rises us up into love. And so without any resistance to what is, can we all rise up and accept the beautiful gift we've been given, and stop writing how it should be, because it's the world, it's supposed to be here to teach us. It's a school, and I know we both believe that. It's a school for our souls to learn. So the more that we rise up and go into love, the more our hearts and minds and body and spirits will open to the wonder and mystery of life.
Wow, that's beautiful. Kristen, thank you so much for being my guest today. I'm really excited for this, and I hope that my audience gets as much out of it as I did.
Thank you, Lori. Bye.
She is a myofascial. I'm sweating to death. I would put shorts on. I'm here today with my really good friend, Kristen Hustead, who is, I say it right?
That's right,
Hustead. Damn it.
That's all right.
I never say your name out loud. Is a myofascial release practitioner and a somatic experience
practitioner as well.
So close.
You did it.
I'll try it again. And a somatic, God damn it.
Just say I'm here with Kristen, and Kristen, you tell him everything about it.